What's going on, everybody? It's your favorite dating coach, Elliot Scott, and as you can see by the title below, there's a reason I'm making this video, right? But as you can see by the title below, we're going to talk about the power of sexual tension or sexual attraction, and the importance of it, okay? First off, I want to say sorry I haven't made a video in a while. There's been other things going on. I will try to get back onto a schedule where I can, because everyone's asking me, you need to make more videos, man, you got to make more videos. Come on. I'll get on that, ladies. I'll get on that shit. Okay? But as of right now, obviously, I haven't been, so I want to apologize about that. There's a reason I decided to open the camera up and make a video for this topic, though. I get this a lot of the times, okay, with my clients who are usually from an Asian background. Not that that's wrong or anything, right? But from an Asian background. They will come to me wondering why it isn't working with a guy a lot of the times. They might come over here from China or just some Asian country and, start talking to American men, and they realize what the hell's going on. And the more I find out, I know now, but back then, the more I found out about it, I realized that it was a very, very, very conservative, cultural, kind of belonging that they had. They're very conservative. They're very hesitant, shy, the women. And they always come to me wondering why, they'll meet this guy online. I just had a client with this situation. That's why I'm bringing it up. Now I'm not going to put her situation out there. But basically, I had a client who met a guy online, and she was wondering why she's from China, Asia, and she was wondering why, it's not going so hot a lot of the time. She's wondering what's wrong and if she should keep talking to American men or go somewhere else. And I said, keep talking to American men. There's nothing wrong with that. But your problem is that you're coming from a very conservative, a very shy, hesitant, kind of closed off identity, when men or just sexual or just attraction is the polar opposite. So I kind of wanted to make a video touching on the subject of sexual tension. And I'm going to start off with this. Ladies, one of the most important powers, one of the most important things you have over a man is your sexual and feminine prowess. Just that vibe, that aura, that identity, the way it oozes through your freaking pores. Sexual tension is everything. And women hate when I say that because, like, oh, I'm objectified. I don't want a man to like me more than sex. Blah, all that bullshit. Okay, a guy can like you a lot more than that. There's nothing wrong with a guy liking you sexually. He can like you a lot more than that, and they usually do. But if you think maybe what I'm saying is, let's just say hypothetically what I'm saying is a little foolish. It's not. But that's just as foolish as a woman truly believing that a guy could fall for her just say, and this might be a shock to you, but that a guy could fall for her just through these deep talks and getting to know each other on a deeper level, and we're focusing on depth and communication and all that bullshit. Listen, can that happen? Absolutely, but you have to have both sides of the, you have to have both sides. And this is usually, like I say in my value guide, is where men and women kind of clash heads. They have different sexual strategies. Men are very sexual from the beginning for a reason. That's just a sexual strategy men have. And when I say that, that's an evolutionary term, right? And women have very different sexual strategies where it's slower. And the reason women are like that is, a woman obviously can't just go around being sexual with every single guy, especially back then, because if a woman was sexual with me back, caveman times, and she was pregnant and I left her, right? She didn't know me that well. Let's just say we hooked up and I left her. Well, she's screwed. I'm not. Literally and figuratively, she's screwed. She's stuck, 9 months, pregnant, vulnerable, weak, has to feed two. Lions, whatever animals, saber-tooth tigers, whatever the hell, mountain goats. I don't know if a mountain goat would eat you, but, like everything would attack her. She's very vulnerable. She's weak to society. They might ostracize, all these different things. So, A woman's sexual strategy is, no, I got to build depth, rapport. I got to know that the guy is not leaving and things like that. And at the same time, men are like, well, I'm not going to invest all this time, energy, and effort in this woman. You know, it's like, if I haven't, this sounds bad, but I'm not going to buy the car until I test drive it. That sounds bad, but you have to meet yourself in the middle. And now, despite all that, attraction, okay, despite all that, that's the strategy they go down to become a couple. But back up a little bit. Despite all that, attraction, okay, just attraction itself is purely, or in the beginning, visual, sexual, physical. Okay, then yes, you can get onto a more philosophical, existential, emotional, spiritual, all that kind. All communication, rapport, depth. All that works out, right? But in the very beginning, the problem a lot of these conservative cultures have is they're meeting men who are just men, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a man finding you attractive. And they're sitting there with this guy focusing on, well, I'm having fun with this guy. He seemed to have a good time on this date. And while that might be true, here's the thing, hon. Just because you have fun on a date doesn't mean there's attraction. Right? Doesn't mean there's chemistry. Maybe just being a nice guy, or maybe he's just trying to get through with the date, or maybe, he did have fun. But again, that's not attraction. I always tell women, when it comes to long distance, for example, when it comes to long distance, ladies, there has to be sexual tension. If you're in a long distance relationship and you're trying to make it work, there has to be sexual tension. There has to be sexual attraction. There has to be sex appeal. There has to be something where he's just like, he just wants to just maul you. There has to be. If not, you're screwed. It's not going to work. If you think you're going to talk to a guy every day about your feelings and have these hour talks with the guy, and he's going to like you more and more and more and more and more, then I'm sorry, ladies, you have a rude awakening for you. That's just how it is. A lot of women don't like this, but that's just how it is. Same thing with these conservative cultures. If you think you're just going to sit back and be conservative and not focus on building or escalating, progressing, flirting, building the sexual tension, giving off that vibe, using your feminine energy, if you're just going to sit down and have a fun time, you're going to be friend zoned. And so to my client, I just want to say that if you want to get a guy to like you, you have to be very, very, very in tuned with your femininity, your sexuality. I'm not saying you have to put out. I'm not even saying you have to make out with the guy. You have to give the guy hope. You have to grab the guy by the balls and make him think it's going somewhere. You have to be really good at building an image, telling a story on what could happen if you date me or if you can get across the line kind of thing. And I think if a woman does a really good job with that, she'll have a guy. I'm telling you, because guys get in their own heads, right? And it just unravels. If you're able to plant a seed in a guy's head and water it and let it grow into something by giving him images, your vibe, your sexual tension, your sex appeal, that you're a high value woman who's scarce, that everyone wants you for, if you do all that kind of stuff, you're going to get much further with a guy than if you were just to sit back and have these deep conversations. I'm not saying those aren't important. You got to have both. But I think a lot of women focus way too much on, I'm going to talk to a guy for a couple months first. I'm going to get to know this guy to see if he's real, and then I'll put out. Which I know that sounds unfair to women, but no guy's going to wait a couple months. I'm sorry, no guy's going to wait a couple months to put out, right? When it's just not. I know that sounds ridiculous. I don't know why it sounds ridiculous to women, but that's just as ridiculous as you telling a guy, well, I'm going to wait 2 months to talk to you and see where. A guy be like, no way in hell, right? I know that sounds wrong, but it's the truth. Ladies, sexual tension, sex appeal, sexual vibe, all that kind of stuff is very, very, very important when it comes to attraction. That's just how we are as a species. Do you need communication, emotion, depth, rapport, that threading? Yes, you need all that. That's very, very, very important. And I think you could not get to the next level without those kind of things. But in the beginning, you have to have some type of sex. You have to give that guy, you have to get that guy's brain racing. I know you might not like that, but that is the truth, okay? So That being said, ladies, I love you. Take care and peace.